Where's the stuff's all missing though, babe? Are we live?
Yeah, you're live.
Okay. We're having a little technical stuff here today, you guys. But hey, I am Matt Yake. I am the Helpful Home Inspector, and welcome to the show. We're live again. We got a great guest today. We got Jon Mitchell from CoZ HVAC, a woman-owned company in southeastern Wisconsin, doing HVAC work and killing it. But we're going to have a great topic for you today. Our main topic today is going to be learning all about your air conditioner. But we got a bunch of other fun stuff we're going to do. And as far as the show goes, if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button. Give me a bell notification to let you know when new stuff's coming out. And if you like this today, give me a thumbs up, all right? We are going to be giving away a combination smoke carbon dioxide detector at the middle of the show today during our question of the week, and so you can stick around and win that if you know the answer. But we're going to talk about all kinds of cool stuff today. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to get into here is talking about our thing that we always give you guys, the defect of the week. The defect of the week this week is something I came across earlier this week over in Brookfield, and it's vermiculite insulation. You've seen that before, John?
Oh yeah.
So
a job today.
There you go. Yeah, vermiculite insulation. It's very common. It was used heavily in the 50s, 60s, early 70s, mid 70s. It started to come out of favor because it was discovered that there was veins of asbestos in the vermiculite. So the vermiculite that was coming out was actually contaminated with asbestos. Now, not a lot of it. Only about 30 to 40% of it contained asbestos at some level, But because we don't know which ones did and which ones didn't, that basically the state of Wisconsin, a lot of states did, they came out and said, hey, any vermiculite insulation is considered to contain asbestos and it is considered a hazard, okay? Now, the EPA and stuff, they say that it is only a hazard, however, when it's made into a dust and you can breathe it into your lungs. So you could lick it, you could chew it. It's consumable, not going to hurt you in that respect. It's just that when those asbestos fibers get trapped into your lungs, they can metastasize into lung cancer. This usually only happens over long-term exposure, and it is something that a lot of people are, I think, overtly afraid of because they've seen the commercials online. You know,
They hear
mesothelioma.
the word asbestos.
Yeah, they hear the word
and
asbestos.
they run for the hills.
Yeah. Even though asbestos floor tile, asbestos pipe wrapping, all that stuff, not an issue until it's turned into a dust. So the biggest time that this becomes an issue is when people are deconstructing their home, when they're remodeling, or I always tell people, if you're going to replace the insulation in your attic, you're going to take that insulation out. You got to make sure to take precautions because that's the time in which it can be harmful. It is not a place to go up to regularly. It's not a place to go store things, and disturb it and breathe that in all the time. It is something that you just, as long as you leave it undisturbed, the EPA says, nothing to worry about. Nothing to see here. But ultimately, when we're talking about vermiculite insulation, it does freak some people out as soon as you use the word asbestos. It's kind of like one of those dirty home inspector words, But know that there's certain types of asbestos that are a defect, but I don't call vermiculite insulation a defect unless it's in the living space. So as long as it's up in your attic, you're not going to be breathing the air from your attic, generally speaking, unless you're up there doing something. And you're not going to be disturbing the insulation on a regular basis or anything like that. Just like if you had asbestos floor tile in your basement, those little 9x9 checkerboard tiles, whatever, that's not a defect. You could still encapsulate it. And if you want to encapsulate it vermiculite insulation, you could put plastic over the top of the attic space, just a little 3 mil plastic, whatever, and now you have a separation and it'll never be an issue. And now you can just put your other insulation right over the top of it if you want. Floor tiles in the basement, put vinyl flooring over the top of the thing. Yeah. But the state of Wisconsin does allow you to remove asbestos contaminated materials and put it in your garbage can, and it all goes to the same place. If you were to hire a professional company to do that, though, it gets a little on the expensive side.
Well, they've got to protect their
employees.
Yeah,
all the OSHA rules and stuff. Yeah,
I mean that's when they go and they get the suits on and they put the clean rooms and everything gets double bagged and hosed down,
taped it up.
They're protecting
the employees.
It's take care of themselves.
Yeah, and the employees, those guys that are doing asbestos removal or abatement is what it's referred to normally as. They're doing that every day. So it is the thing where they would have potential for long-term exposure. Right. So wearing respirators, they wear the white suit, they tape everything off, they use negative air machines with filtration and stuff. And these asbestos abatement companies have a very expensive license that they have to maintain and all this other stuff. And these environmental protocols require them to go get more education and all that kind of stuff as a part of that. So all that wrapped in, all the equipment, the plastic, the guys, the safety, it gets expensive fast, you know? And so most of the time where you're seeing these abatement companies come in, they're either doing a asbestos abatement in an old home where they're doing remodeling, schools, old buildings and businesses, you know, that kind of stuff. But it is something that you don't really know if you have asbestos until you do testing. But there are materials like vermiculite, like asbestos floor tiles, like asbestos roofing, asbestos pipe wrap, you know, and stuff that we know has a higher potential to contain asbestos. So to pay for the test is probably not really worth it in most cases, but for some people, they want to pay for it. You know, the state of Wisconsin, they basically said that, hey, we're not testing vermiculite insulation anymore. We're just saying it all contains asbestos. Because it was a huge waste of money. It was a huge draw of cash, you know, that was just being blown, you know. So, yeah. So that is vermiculite. I have a little bit of a bag of it here. So it's kind of like this. What's cool about it? Did you ever squeeze it?
Oh,
it's like,
yeah, it's really soft.
Yeah.
It's almost like if you broke up a cork board.
Yeah, you can squeeze it.
It's almost like that.
Yeah, you can squeeze it. It's kind of like a marshmallow almost as far as its how squeezability it is, but it stays squished once you squeeze it.
I always like the shininess of it.
It is, yeah, it does have that little flicker, kind of like a stone product, you know, like a shaved shale or something like that, you know. But that's vermiculite. Tammy's got it up on the computer here. You can kind of see what it looks like up close and personal. So that's what it looks like. And it's a mined product. So this stuff was mined all over the United States, primarily Montana, Virginia, South Carolina. We actually imported a bunch from South Africa and stuff as well. But the main contaminated mine was over in Libby, Montana, and so that was where the court case came in and all the other kinds of stuff as far as suing Zonalite and all these other companies that were using it. But they still mine the stuff. They still use it. Like if you go buy potting soil and it's got this squishy foamy stuff in the middle, that's vermiculite still. They use it in the potting soil and it's still mined in Virginia. It's just that it's in such small quantities in your potting soil. You know?
I just assumed that was styrofoam.
Sometimes it's styrofoam, but they also use their vermiculite because the vermiculite actually absorbs water too, like a stone would absorb water to a certain level. Vermiculite does too. So
help the soil to hold moisture then.
Yeah. So that is vermiculite insulation, folks. Some home inspectors will list it as an adverse defect to the property just because they know it kind of freaks people out to say asbestos, you know. But if they're educated, they also know that it's probably not very harmful if it's left in your attic and not disturbed. So just keep it real, people. As far as vermiculite insulation goes, know that encapsulating it, removing it, whatever you want to do, it's entirely up to you. But I don't think it's very harmful as long as you don't disturb it. I do agree with the EPA in that respect. Now, as far as the vermiculite insulation, if you are going to remove it, just make sure you wear a respirator, mask off the hallway where you're removing it, bag it up in the attic, you know, and just take it out and then make sure that you're eliminating all the dust and stuff so it doesn't get into your regular air supply. So that's the defect of the week, folks. That is vermiculite insulation. I actually put a short video out to next week probably where I actually showed home inspectors how to talk to clients about vermiculite insulation and not make it an alarming thing. As a home inspector, we should be alarming only when it is absolutely necessary. You know,
right.
When your house is going to blow up, someone's going to die, that kind of stuff. It's not a point to make into a bigger issue when it's such a low risk, you know, like that. So that's vermiculite insulation. Now, the next thing we have is we always try to give everybody a tip to save a buck. And this is something you and I both probably agree. Be smart about buying your tools, right? There are places you shop for tools, and there's places that you shop for other things other than tools, right?
Things that you want to break.
Things you want to break. Things that you're not going to use very much, hardly ever. You know, you don't care.
If you want to cut a wrench in half and make a tool to fix an antique car, then you get it out of the dollar bin.
Yep. You can
go to Dollar Tree.
You can even go to, if you want it to last twice, Harbor Freight maybe, you know, that kind of stuff. And Harbor Freight, some stuff is
They have been getting better.
They have been getting better, and some stuff there is very good. But the majority of stuff is just cheap stuff from China, and it's just is what it is. But some stuff is very good there. Other things, like what did I buy? I bought a multicolored bit set, like with Phillips bit and flathead and all that kind of stuff. Those things snap right off. They strip right away. There's some things that are good, some things that are not good. And you go there knowing that. But if you're going to Home Depot and you're looking at buying a drill, okay? Right? The drill is something that you're going to have for a really long time. You're going to use it for a lot of different things. Even if you're just an average homeowner Joe, okay? You're going to use this drill a lot, okay? And even if you aren't going to use it a lot, you're going to have it a long time, right? So if you buy a cheap drill, you're also buying a cheap battery. And that battery
is more expensive than the tool.
Yeah. And so
just
crazy.
I have a couple different ways I think about this. One, For the longest time, I was against battery-operated tools
because
I hate batteries.
Yeah.
Batteries just go bad. You have to charge them, and then everybody's changing their technology, and they're changing the way it mounts.
Yep.
The one who didn't is Ryobi, right?
Ryobi didn't.
Well, they did. It's still new batteries fit into their old stuff, which is great. I bought my wife that set for at home, and now all these years, 24 years later, now I bought her, cordless outdoor equipment. Yep. Those batteries, the new lithium batteries, fit in the old tools that I bought her from in-house. Yep. But using out in the field, it's...
I like Milwaukee.
Milwaukee
hasn't changed much as far as their battery stuff. DeWalt has changed their battery a number of times, and the old ones don't fit in the new ones. Makita, terrible reputation with that. They change their battery up every other year, and so now you have, if you don't have that one battery for that one thing, it's not going to work. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I got a 30-year-old Makita.
Yeah, with the
9-volt
stick. Big stick. Yeah.
You can still charge it, and you can still turn about 4.5 bolts with that thing, and it's got huge torque.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't try to.
Back in the day, Makita was the bomb diggity. It was one of the first guys that came out with that
and then DeWalt was.
Then DeWalt.
You could turn bolts off with that 14.4 DeWalt.
And I still love DeWalt drill. When you're using a DeWalt drill, it's clutch and everything. Great. It's just that it doesn't have... The battery doesn't have transportability across their whole platform. When I buy a Milwaukee M18 anything, a Milwaukee M18 battery fits in it no matter what. Whether it's a saw, whether it's a chainsaw, whether it's the lawnmower, whatever. It's gonna what did we get, the reachable chainsaw thing? It all worked. I can use whatever M18 battery I've got, and I've got now like 10 of them. You know what I mean? And so even if I don't have one that's charged up real well in it, I have another 3 or 4 of them in my truck that are all going to fit all the different tools that I have. And as long as you stick with that same platform, you have that real transportability between one battery to the next, to the next, to the next. The only thing with the Milwaukee is that they have those, the M12 battery and the M18 are not compatible. And the M12, if you get the real little ones, they don't last very long. But if you get the 3 amp hour ones, those are a little bit better. But I'm a fan of the Milwaukee. I think it's worth spending the extra money. You're going to have even if you're only going to use this drill to build the deck one time or whatever.
Well, I got 4 trucks full of tools.
Yeah.
You want to be able to go and buy 2 batteries, and you don't want to worry about who's got what.
Yep.
One of the things that I have noticed is, as of late, Milwaukee and DeWalt have both been doing this. Milwaukee's got the fuel. It's the brushless. That's the best top of the line. If you go and use that other one, it throws sparks out the side. It's got horrible battery life.
The old one with the brushes.
And people will call you up and go, we'll buy parts from us, and we'll throw in a new free Milwaukee M18 tool. It's an M18, but it's not a fuel. Yeah. And it tears up the battery right away. And I got a grinder like that, and it's like I can't even grind an angle off, and the battery's already dead because it's not it's not a fuel.
Yeah, yeah.
And DeWalt did that too. They have a set that's like a homeowner set. It's really inexpensive. It's not variable speed. It's just on and off.
Yeah.
The batteries are horrible.
Did you know DeWalt is Black & Decker?
I think I knew that from a long time ago. DeWalt, and I heard somebody said that Milwaukee bought DeWalt. No,
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. What do you primarily use in your truck?
All Milwaukee.
All red. Yeah. I like the Milwaukee platform a lot in that the batteries are transportable, and they have so many options from hammer drills and grinders and cutoff saws and portable bandsaws and all that stuff.
I bought an air toilet plunger.
Yeah.
Because every now and again I get somebody that calls with the rentals.
Yeah.
I get somebody to call and they just it just does that. What else did I buy recently? Oh, I bought the air compressor.
Oh, sure.
Oh, that thing's awesome. I don't even use. I haven't even plugged my regular air compressor in anymore.
Yeah.
Because now I've got the big 3/4 inch Milwaukee fuel impact.
Sure.
Take my tires off of that.
Oh, sure.
And then I use the compressor to fill up tires. I could just use it anywhere. I don't have to drag a cord around.
I saw somebody had the Milwaukee table saw. Actually looked pretty cool.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's compact too, which is kind of nice for getting it out of there.
For that kind of, for me, that kind of stuff, I'd still use cord.
Still use cord, get the power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just, I don't have the use for portability in
on-site aspect
in that respect
from what we're doing HVAC stuff. Yeah. I mean, there's a time to spend the money and there's a time not to spend the money. And if you're going to buy something like a drill or something like that, you're gonna have for a long time. Spend the extra bucks. Spend the extra $100 or whatever and get the nicer unit that's gonna have the battery that's gonna last a long time, and has a good reputation. Buying the cheap stuff, you're just gonna regret it. I mean, not that Skill and what are some of the other off-brand stuff? There's a whole bunch of them.
There's that stuff that Fleet Farm sells and that Menards sells.
The Master Force. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of that kind of stuff. Or what's the Walmart brand? The blue stuff. It's like blue and gray. But
I've seen it.
I mean, it might work fine, but I guarantee it's not going to outlast my Milwaukee.
Right.
You're
not going to see it out on a job site.
Yeah.
Putting up 100 feet of ductwork.
Did you ever see the YouTube video or the TikTok video where the guy comes in and he's got all the Ryobi tools in the drill and he shows up to the job site or whatever and the guy's like, really? And the guy's like, what can I drill next? And it's just the whole big joke. But Ryobi, not terrible. It's kind of a mid-range tool, but yeah. Milwaukee, I think, is the top end for me. DeWalt, I love some of their stuff, but they haven't got the product line like Milwaukee does,
Right. But and then when you get the tools that way, it's almost like, you got Ford, the Dodge guys, and the Chevy guys. Some people, they won't stray away from DeWalt.
Yeah.
They won't stray away from their rigid tools.
Yep. DeWalt does some things great. Like the DeWalt nailers are awesome, but you're only going to have that one battery and that one nailer because you're not going to have a whole platform of that.
Right.
So it just is what it is. But yeah. So
interesting fact is Ryobi and Milwaukee Tool are actually owned by Tektronic Industries.
There you go. So it's kind of like Carrier and Bryant.
They're owned by ICP.
Getting into our, topic here today.
Well, and then Heil's bought by ICP too.
Yeah.
So,
ICP is Carrier all of its Carrier Corporation. They make all those different brands.
There's like 13 names underneath ICP now,
which is kind of crazy. Yeah. Bryant, Payne, ICP, Arco Air, Comfort Maker, Heil, Tempstar. Those are just a few of them. But they're the big boy in the business. Whether or not they're the best, we'll discuss that later. Yeah. Now, as far as our co-host question, we always ask a co-host question. And John, you've been HVAC for 31 years. Okay. What is your least favorite job as an HVAC technician?
Getting in people's attics.
Getting in attics? Yeah. Doing an attic job?
It's not the getting in. It's not the getting out. It's the insulation when you get in there.
Yeah. Itchy.
It always ends up being the hottest day.
You're sweating your...
It always ends up being the first call, so you're itchy the rest of the day.
Actually, I wouldn't mind. I'd rather be the first call.
No,
because then it's not
be
as
the
hot.
last call.
Really?
Because then I can just go home and take a shower.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with oil furnaces.
Yeah.
I don't make my oil furnaces the first call. I make them the last call, so I don't smell like oil on the way, all the way through every job.
Yep.
I just don't want to be itchy every day. That's the worst, is getting into somebody's itchy attic.
Yeah.
And thankfully, in our area, I would say only 20% of the houses that I ever work on.
Most of the homes in southeastern Wisconsin here have basements or crawl spaces. Crawl spaces is not very common either, Right. But the only time you're going to see John up in an attic is when there's a boiler system and a slab or something like that, right? Or something like that.
Well, no. A lot of the tri-levels.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Tri-level would do it too. Yeah. And I've seen some really nicely done attic mounted units with the octopus of flexible duct going through the ceiling.
And then sometimes
that's the best
you
option.
Look off to the right, off to the left, and there's all insulation right there, but they've got some plywood down
for you to
work right around the air conditioning unit in the attic. It's still hot, but it doesn't get as bad as when you have to crawl through it. That's the worst.
And up in the attic, you also got to get rid of condensate, which is not as easy as it is in the basement.
Right.
So you got to take that to an outside wall probably to get rid of it. But
yeah, it's just the proximity to insulation. That's the problem.
Yeah. And probably clearance and access, right? It's all going to be rafters almost always when you're talking about that, right? Yeah. Well, and we're glad to have John here today. We're going to talk about a great topic, which is what we got coming up next. So our topic of the day is helping you understand your air conditioner. So the air conditioner, John, the basics of how an air conditioner works. Just give us the basics.
Basically, it transfers heat from inside your house outside. So it's just taking heat in the box, moving it outside the box. Your refrigerator is the same thing. It's taking heat from inside the box of the refrigerator and moving it outside. It's
just the back of the refrigerator gets warm.
Yeah, it's a heat transfer device.
Yep.
Everybody thinks it makes cold, but it doesn't. There's still heat down to negative 423 degrees or something. But that's the scientific part of it. But basically, it's just absorbing heat, moving it through refrigerant in the lines outside, giving that heat off, bringing back a subcooled liquid.
So the fan you hear spinning outside is blowing the heat off.
It's removing
pipes.
Heat. Yep. It's not making cold. It's removing heat.
Yep.
And that's why heat pumps work.
Yeah.
Heat pump is just an air conditioner in reverse. They just flip the script. They put the inside just with a little valve.
Yep.
It just flips the scripts and it takes heat from outside, moves it in. It's crazy for everybody to think that at negative 17 degrees outside there's still heat. There is.
Yeah.
Like I just said, all the way down to negative 423 or something like that.
And all you're using electricity to push the liquid around, and the fans and pumps or whatever. So,
but that's simply, and if you actually look it up, the word air conditioning actually means dehumidification.
You have to dehumidify before
you have to dehumidify before you can. Well, if you cool and you don't dehumidify, it becomes a cave. It's cold and damp.
Yeah.
And people don't like that. You can tell a house that is not working properly. You go in and it might be cold, but there's humid off the wall.
Yeah.
So air conditioning means dehumidification. In fact, if you go to like these storage facilities, they will say climate controlled building.
Yeah.
They heat them in the wintertime. In the summertime, they just dehumidify. Sure. They don't cool them. You'll go in there on an 80-degree day and you walk in. It might be 78 degrees in there, but it's dry.
The humidity's down.
It feels like day and night.
Yeah, which the humidity down is going to help prevent molds and all that kind of stuff, which is why you want the environmental control.
Good friend of mine's got a metal stamping shop, and he goes, John, what can I do about the humidity? I'm going to put air conditioner, big rooftops on for air conditioning. I said, no, let's just put a couple of these dehumidification units in.
Yeah.
I said, you can run them year round. You don't have to worry about anything.
Talk about like an ERV or just moving air?
It's basically just a big commercial dehumidifier.
Yeah.
Similar to those crummy ones you would have in the basement.
Yeah.
But this is commercial grade, so it's not going to wear out in 2 years.
Yeah.
And these things are running 10 gallons an hour.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of water being pulled out of the air.
Your house air conditioner be up to 2 gallons an hour.
Yeah.
Those little dehumidifiers in your basement, those are running 2 gallons a day.
And they're just going to run those in the summertime when we're making way more humidity than
when they're running. Yeah. And they just dehumidify the place. He doesn't have his electric bill didn't change that bad.
Yeah.
But they have everything electric there.
Using a pump to move liquid. Yeah. So that's the basics of how an air conditioner works, you guys. And one of the things that everybody is this time of year, everybody's going to start opening up their air conditioner, right? So if they watch my video and follow the directions on how to close down your air conditioner, you're going to take the piece of the rock off. You're going to take the piece of wood off. You're going to set the rock next to the air conditioner, take the piece of wood in the garage. And then you're going to look over the air conditioner, right? And make sure there's nothing damaged or anything happened over the winter time.
Right.
And then you're going to rinse it off, right? Get all the dust off the fins and things like that with just a garden hose.
Carefully with the garden hose.
Yep,
I use my thumb. Even me, I don't use a spray nozzle.
Yeah.
I use my thumb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just water.
I use chemical.
Over it.
When I'm cleaning somebody's, I'm using a chemical that, chemicals like soap release the dirt and debris and oils.
Yeah.
And then you can hose that off.
Yep. But if you take a pressure washer to it, you're going to blast a hole through your air conditioner and you're going to
bend the fins.
Yeah.
If you bent the fins, you might as well left it dirty.
Yep. Yep, and then you're going to end up having to buy a new air conditioner. But you also want to make sure that it's level because there are bearings in the fan, and we don't want to wear those out. We want.
And there's an oil level in the sump of the compressor.
Oh, is there too?
Just like your car.
Sure.
So if it gets a little kitty wampus,
might get a dry.
Good word there, right? Kitty wampus.
Straight up, yeah.
World. Possibly that bearing in the bottom won't. Won't have any oil lubrication for it.
Sure, yeah. So that's basically what you got to do to open it up. But do all of that before you go to operate the thermostat. Don't just throw the board off and go and turn it on. You want to make sure that you check it over. Now, as far as identifying, you've done that. You've got the air conditioner all ready to go. You turn it on. how do we tell if there's a problem? So there's lots of different problems that an air conditioner can have, right? So I've got a list here. I'll run through the list. You tell me what causes this problem, okay? So I have a poor temperature output. So I'm not the air coming out of the ductwork is not cold.
Right. That could be a lot of different things. But the main thing is going to be probably lack of refrigerant. It's probably going to be your main, is most common. These are copper tubes generally. Some of them are aluminum tubing, but generally copper tubing. And oxidation corrosion can cause a leak in various places in the refrigerant lines and the coils. That's the main thing. Is going to be lack of refrigerant.
And there's connections that could leak, right?
There's connections.
You're brazing connections, which is better than soldering, but it's still the same process. You'd have two loose pipes that are getting put together with a solder type material.
The connections are probably the second leading cause. The first cause would be this evaporator coil, which we'll show you in a little bit.
Yeah, we can break that up. Bring that bad boy up. So this is an A coil.
This is a used A coil.
The used A coil. So this is what would be in your furnace, and it sits up like this.
Typically.
Yep. So the pipe that you see going into your from into the ductwork is right here, and this is that pipe going in. And then these are the drain lines that are right on top of your furnace. So this is what it looks like on the inside of your furnace. And it's got the fins on it just like on a regular air conditioner outside and stuff. But so what's the number one leading?
Number one problem is all of these bends. This is the thinnest tubing in the whole system. And the tubes that are actually running through where the fins are.
So each one of these guys is a tube that goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You can see that. So all these tubes are going back, and all these tubes over here are going back and forth across here. Air is actually coming up from the bottom.
Yep.
So the bottom of this thing, let's tip this thing up, Johnny. So the bottom is open. That's where the air runs through. So the air runs through that. The air blows over all of these coils, and that's what cools that air down and goes up to the different parts of your house. So this A coil here with all these little tubes, you're saying these can leak.
Right.
And that's one of these.
That's the most common plate.
It looks like all the connections are on your side there, huh?
All the factory connections are here.
Yeah.
If you can see, what you see right down here is this is starting to rust down here.
Oh, yeah.
This is a galvanized plate on copper. Copper and galvanized never get along. Why they ever did this?
They're called dissimilar metals, right?
It's all these manufacturers do this because it's inexpensive.
Yeah.
But this is where you usually start to get a leak. When you start to find this rusting, I always look. I listen to how a system's running, and I look at it before I ever get out a meter. If I'm looking and I see that this rust is actually black, that means it's oil contaminated. If there's oil contamination, the oil came from within the tube. So that's where the leak is.
And it came from within the compressor then, right?
Came from within the whole system.
Yeah.
It's the refrigerant leaking out, brought some of the oil with it.
Sure.
And made a black rust.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
Like just a rule of thumb, easy identifier.
Yep. And this pan, as the air conditioner runs, you guys, one of the things that's going to dehumidify your home is going to be that coolant running through here is going to cause condensation on these fins, and then those condensation on the fins is going to come down into the drip pan here. And this drip pan is going to have a discharge hose on it, usually out one of these ports or on the backside, wherever that is, and that's going to go down into your floor drain and stuff. But
and these will oftentimes get plugged up.
So the drain hose on there, you got to clean that on the regular. It'll get gums up with, I don't know, what is that material that gets gummed up with? Just like
usually it's bacteria.
Bacteria.
It's everything we've been breathing out. It's kind of gross.
Yeah.
To think about it, but this is wet.
Yep.
All summer long. If you're using air conditioner, this is wet, so it's going to start.
Who doesn't use an air conditioner?
Well, a lot of people.
Dude,
a lot of people don't.
I sweat at 71.2. We are not a window family, but
that's wet so often.
Yeah.
So there's dust in the air. Dust gets caught in there. There's bacteria in the air, molds in the air. Mold is everywhere, right?
Yep, mold's everywhere.
You've covered that in many topics.
Yep.
Mold is everywhere. Don't be afraid of mold.
Yeah.
It's
understand
the water
it.
and the food. That's what gives the mold a place to set in.
Yeah.
But all that stuff builds up in there. And that's what usually plugs it up. Every now and again, you'll get a bug that crawls up there or something.
Yep. And the hose, you can clean the hose with hot water and some bleach maybe. But
I always tell people to pour just a little, quarter cup of bleach down the hose once a year.
Oh, and that helps.
It almost never
down.
plug up.
Yeah. But if your hose gets all black and yellow and inside and stuff like that. You can even just take that hose off, go to Ace, and they'll cut you the same hose that's the exact same diameter. You can just bring home and plug it back on. But sometimes that's easier than trying to clean the thing. You know, John. So let's put this sucker down on the ground, Johnny. So John and I actually met a long time. It must have been 20 years ago. Yeah, at least, if not more than that. I used to manage an apartment complex over in Sussex called Clover Downs, and John was the HVAC guy. He was
how many units were there?
128.
Yeah.
So John was there a lot, and each unit had its own furnace and air conditioner. So if John wasn't there in the winter, John was there in the summer. So me and John got to hang out and talk a lot because I can't just hey John, here's the keys, you know. So I always had to sit there with him, and John would educate me a lot, you know, and we'd jibber jabber. And he was working for a company called Moorhusen out of Menominee Falls back in the day, which that somebody else took over that building now. I don't know who's in there now, but
Cider. There was an auction. Cider bought a bunch of their tools, and they're leasing the property from the original owner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is he still alive?
No, he passed.
Okay.
His wife is still alive.
Wife is or whatever. Yeah. But so that's how John and I got to know each other. And it basically was something that John would come out. He'd, kneel down, do his thing or whatever. He'd get up on the roof. He'd clear snow away from vents. He'd
clear snow away from the exhaust and intake were going out the roof. How many times
you were freaking nuts, dude? It's a snowstorm. The roof is icy and nasty. And here's John pulling out his ladder, getting up there and clearing snow away. And next thing you know, furnace works like a champ, you know. So because we had our PVC discharge pipes all came through the roof there, you know, which was a bad idea, which we now know that was a bad idea, but it wasn't something that I didn't build the building, you know.
I didn't build the building.
Yeah, we're just stuck dealing with it, right? But eventually John left Moorhusen and went out and started a business on his own, and it's been killing it ever since. So CoZ Air Conditioning, or CoZ HVAC Conditioning. HVAC conditioning. What am I talking about? Yeah. CoZ HVAC. The phone number 262-229-5698. If you want to get hold of John, he'd be happy to come out and take a look at your system. But so poor temperature output is usually related to loss of refrigerant.
Right.
Loss of refrigerant primarily comes from the A coil, but could come from the exterior unit as well. All right. So that's that one. The unit doesn't turn on at all. My air conditioner doesn't turn on at all, John. What is the problem?
The contactor, probably. A lot of times, especially up here, earwigs.
Oh,
or when they used to be really bad.
Yeah,
they've been bad for a while.
Haven't been bad for a long time. Yeah.
The contactor is just a switch, and that switch has got exposed parts, and the bugs will get behind there. Sometimes it's a spider building a nest.
Sure.
Sometimes it's
something preventing the electricity from flowing.
Yep, preventing that circuit from being closed.
Yep.
Usually it's that contactor.
Yep.
Every now and again it's a tripped circuit breaker. Every now and again, it's a bad capacitor, which the capacitor is nothing more than like a little kind of a battery that gives the motor a big kick in the tail to get it moving.
Yep. And with the air conditioner, there's also usually been an outside throw. So if somebody had pulled the outside throw to decommission your air conditioner for the winter, you might have to go take that, flip it over, and you should always be able to read the word on when you're putting it in order for it to have power flowing through it. So it's an exterior pull.
And some of those have fuses in them. And fuses actually have a lifespan. They're a thermal device.
Like a barrel fuse.
Yeah, they're a thermal device. So as electricity goes through them, they get warm. I do get warm. You do.
Yeah. So like these guys. So it's a little barrel fuse. This is a
in different sizes. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, as electricity is going through it, it gets warm.
Yeah.
The reason how all of fuses work. And circuit breakers, they all work off a temperature. They get to a certain temperature, and that breaks the contact.
And it's done.
So if this is 20 years old, chances are it's probably going to fail.
Yep. Yeah, it happens.
And just fail because it's an old fuse.
Yeah, it happens. And that's not the only fuse you have in your HVAC system. Right. You have another one in your circuit board in your furnace.
There's a small like automotive fuse oftentimes there.
Number 3.
Then your circuit breaker is nothing more than a thermal fuse.
Yeah.
Usually there's 2 of these out in the disconnect.
Yeah. So probably the first thing when you call John up and you say it's not turning on, he might ask you to go down and check the circuit breaker,
right,
and check the pull, because if he drives all the way out there and it's a circuit breaker, guess what? He's still got to charge you for the service call,
right,
because he set aside time to come visit you and take care of your problem that he didn't go. That he didn't go work for somebody else making some money. So understand that if you call up and John comes out, know that you're going to have to pay for his time, even if it was a dumb mistake on your part. So he's going to try to don't be insulted by it. Like some people they call me up when they have a computer problem or whatever, right. You know, I'll be like, did you turn it off and turn it back on?
Right.
I'm not an idiot.
Yeah.
Well, just try it for me. Just try it for me. Leave it off for a 10 count. Let the capacitor bleed out, you know, and then turn it back on. Oh, it works all of a sudden, you know, and oh my gosh. You know,
I usually try to get a
happens.
good read on people.
Sure.
When I'm talking to them on the phone.
Yep.
The ones who will work with me, I'll go to the links and I'll walk them through everything they need to do.
Yeah.
And that doesn't cost them a dime, it just costs them time.
Yeah.
If they've, got the mindset that they're going to follow along. But most of the time, people are like, no, can you just come out and do it? I want it done right.
Yeah.
I want to know what's done. I want to know what's working. One
of the reasons you guys why I refer Jon all the time is that Jon is a lot like me in that customer service is huge. Customer experience, customer service. 9:30 at night, Jon's on his phone calling people back and doing
I'm on vacation with my family.
Yeah, he's up north at the cabin. We're going ATV and Jon's sitting there on the phone in the ATV trail responding to somebody. Mm-hmm. I'm like, Jon, take a break, man.
I had the Bluetooth speaker on. I was talking to somebody with my Razor.
Yeah. It was just, it is what you do as a business owner. That if you want to be successful, customer service, customer experience has to be one of the big things or whatever. And that's why it's so important to Jon and I. But ultimately, you guys, Jon, he's there to take care of you. He'll come out on Saturday. He'll come out later. I've been on the phone with Jon at 11:30 at night when he's just leaving a customer's house because they didn't have heat in the middle of winter.
Wow.
I mean, just crazy stuff. But great stuff here. Now, the next thing we have is ice at the compressor. Now, you can get ice at the compressor. You can get ice on the line set. You can get ice at the A-coil.
Yep.
Right.
And so ice on the A-coil, because that's inside the ductwork, you're usually not going to see it.
Yeah.
Usually what people are going to see is they're going to see the first sign is going to be ice on the line set.
Refrigerant line, yep.
Yep. Ice at the compressor means that this coil is probably 2-3 inches thick of ice. And the line set's probably got barnacles of ice hanging on it, and it's finally made its way all the way outside. Because think about it, most of the time it's going to be 80 degrees outside. Plus the compressor's producing heat, and it's going to be hot itself. For ice to be able to form on there, it's been running a long time.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, things aren't going to fix themselves. I have this all the time. Like, well, I just turned it down further, and I figured it would fix itself.
I let it off and let the ice melt, and then see if it fixes.
Well, that's the thing. Turn it off. Make sure you go down. If you're ever going to change your filter, turn off the equipment first. Yep. Don't change your air filter with the fan running. Any garbage that's laying there, it's going to be sucked into your equipment. It's equipment filters, not an air filters. They're designed to keep the air, the blower, the heat exchanger, and the evaporator coil cleaner, not designed to clean the house.
Yep.
But turn it off. Check the filter. See how dirty the filter is. Change it. Maybe just out of spite, just change the filter.
This could be ice let it just sit because the filter's clogged.
Just because the filter's clogged. Just let it sit for an hour or two and turn it back on.
Yeah.
And see if that has remedied it.
Yeah.
Maybe you just got a dirty filter.
Yeah. If your filter's dirty and you can't get airflow, this thing the A-coil that we just had up here requires airflow. If you don't have airflow, it's not going to take the cool and move it out into the house. So all the cool is going to sit here forming ice on that. It's going to take that condensate and make it into ice.
Yeah, it's still trying to reject heat. So it's rejecting heat, and it's doing nothing different than what your freezer in your house is doing.
Yep.
Or that deep freeze chest in the basement.
Yep. And you need air flowing over it. So
many of us have those deep freeze. And we know that every now and again you got to go down there and you got to thaw that thing out, because even though it's a nice freezer, if you let it sit for 2-3 years running, it builds up ice.
Yeah. Now, would the amount of refrigerant potentially have anything to do with causing ice buildup?
Yes. Lack of refrigerant causes ice.
Okay. So lack of refrigerant can cause ice. Lack of airflow can cause ice. Anything else that can cause ice,
Only two things.
Only two things. Okay, cool. The next thing we have is there's water leaking from onto the furnace. There's water leaking out of the pan of the A-coil onto the furnace. What is happening?
That could be the coil getting frozen. The funny thing is, I don't know why this is, but they always seem to freeze at the drain first.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
It always seems to freeze and plug up the drain first with ice.
Yeah.
So it could be that you've got ice forming. More than likely, it's something in the drain, whether it's the drain hose is plugged up, the actual fitting right at the coil pan is plugged up.
The line's kinked.
Or it's plugged inside. Yeah. Or the line's kinked. I had one maybe 10 years ago. It seemed mind-boggling to me. I went over there, and there's a set of car rims sitting on the drain hose. And they were
just cutting it off.
Just completely smashing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that wasn't the only one. I mean, I had others where there's somebody moved put a couch down there for a little while, and the leg of the couch is sitting right on the hose.
They just think it's a hose on the floor.
I don't even think they noticed. I didn't think they knew what it was. They just put it there, and
that'll do it.
It's there in storage. So, those kind of things.
Yeah.
But then again, if you're going and you're looking at your hose and you say, okay, it's black inside, I'm going to run some bleach down it.
Sure.
Take a minute, take that fitting off.
Yep.
Put some pipe dope back on the threads or some pipe tape.
Yep.
Put it back in. Doesn't have to go real tight.
Stick a little brush in it,
You can do that, or just take a screwdriver and kind of drag any garbage out of there.
That hose? Okay, sure.
Watch out, because your furnace is right below it in most cases.
Yep.
Your furnace is right below it. So if a lot of water's coming out of there, you don't want that going down in your furnace.
Or whatever,
because that's much more expensive to fix than the air conditioner is.
And this is, so if we're getting water leaking out of the furnace, it's one of two things. Either the A coil is icing up and you're getting water bleeding out of there, or the drain line is clogged up and you're not getting rid of the condensate.
You could have a broken pan or rusted through pan.
Yeah.
Older units had steel pans. Why? Don't know. They still had plastic back then, but they made them out of steel.
It's because they can sell more furnaces.
Probably not. But the plastic pans, they're cheap and thin, and sometimes
they crack or break.
Maybe I'll find one a year.
Yeah. Not very often.
Not often, but that is a thing too.
He's asking how much do you think that copper sweats? Probably sweats a lot, I would imagine. Right?
This
thing.
How
much water is an air conditioner A coil going to put out?
2 gallons an hour.
2 gallons of water an hour of running your air conditioner.
Of operation. Yep.
That's a lot of water flowing through there.
Yeah, like I said, with those dehumidifiers, and so remember, it's dehumidification. That's what it does. Is dehumidify.
Yeah,
we're really not cooling the house. We're actually dehumidifying
first.
So that little dehumidifier that you bought for $90 from Home Depot, they're pieces of junk. They're doing 2 gallons a day.
Yeah,
this is doing 2 gallons an hour. Commercial system where at your work or at Kohl's, the hardware store you go to. Those units are doing 10 gallons an hour.
That's crazy. That's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water.
All right. So the next one we had, the fan blades are not spinning. Usually a power thing?
Looks kind of like this, but it's a capacitor. It's much bigger. This basically looks like a can of soup.
Yeah.
And that's what gives those motors a kick in the butt to get them moving.
Yeah.
They also do a little bit for when it's running, but it's basically just a little rechargeable battery, basically, is all it is.
And without the fan spinning outside, we could have ice buildup outside, right?
No, with the fan outside, you're going to overheat. Because remember, we're moving heat out.
Yep.
So we got to put out the heat outside.
So the fan's not spinning, though. Unit's going to get way too hot.
It's going to get way too hot. The compressor hopefully is going to trip on its internal limit.
Sure.
If that keeps happening, though, the compressor is going to die.
Yeah.
And that's the most common cause of that fan outside not working.
Yeah. Yeah. And can you generally do you not replace the compressor? It's cost inhibitive. If you're going to spend $800,000 replacing the compressor,
where you could just go ahead and update your system, and it might be a better option.
And this is probably not happening in a new unit. This is probably happening in an older.
It's usually happening in an older unit.
Yeah.
Then an older unit. Okay,
you got to weigh the cost.
Usually, when it gets to be $500, I start to talk to people about replacing equipment.
And I mean, HVAC equipment, you can replace every single part on that furnace. Is it cost effective? No, not really.
Because the first part you bought is $500.
Yep, you got to really lay out. Hey, this is what I'm going to spend to fix it. And I might have this much life left in it after that. Or do I just bite the bullet, have a new one, and operate more efficiently, save money now, and have a unit that I don't have to worry about?
Right.
So, things to think about. Now, this is one that I had come up just the other day. I was at a home over in, Merton? And I turned the air conditioner on. It was 70 degrees or whatever. Turned the air conditioner on, and it's the compressor and stuff started smoking.
Outside?
Outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. What caused
was it smoke or was it steam?
It was smoke.
Okay.
It smelled bad.
If it's smoke, then burning wires.
Electrical?
Probably. One of the biggest problems that people do is they wrap up that outdoor air unit. They'll take a tarp. They make these covers. They make them because people buy them.
Yeah.
They don't make them because they're good for your equipment. They make them because people buy them.
Same reason they sell crinkle drains at Home Depot.
Yeah. So, so people put this cover all the way over it that A, traps moisture in there.
Yep.
B, you're making a house for mice. You're making a spot out of the wind.
Comfy.
That's for mice.
Yep.
There's big drain holes in the bottom. They'll get in there. You can't make that thing tight.
Yep.
Think about an RV. You can't make an RV tight enough to keep mice out. They're going to get in there if they want to get in there.
Yep.
And then, so they, for whatever reason, actually, I found out too, a lot of wire now, especially automotive wire, is made out of organic insulation.
Oh.
The plastic insulation is no longer like plastic. They're chewing it because it's actually organic
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like vegetable based, I guess.
That's weird.
So they like the tingle. They like the chew on that stuff. They like to make bedding.
Yeah.
So they probably chewed on some stuff and caused some problems. Not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Usually, I mean, even if it burns all the way up to the harness on the compressor, there's kits to replace them at the terminals of the compressor. Yeah. As long as the compressor terminals are still there.
Yeah. Just got to hire somebody that knows how to do that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that's going to be electrical if you're getting some smoke. The next thing they had is the outside unit looks corroded and looks melted on the outside of the air conditioner.
Well, there's corrosion, and then
it looks like somebody sprayed acid on it.
That's usually the dog.
Dog urine. Yeah.
And people have fought me about that on the menu. I don't know. Dog didn't do that. Yes, the dog did.
Yeah.
The
dog urine will deteriorate.
It was either the dog or it was Grandpa.
Yeah, the chemical makeup of the dog urine will cause it to deteriorate the aluminum fins and all that stuff. You'll see the copper lines will start to get the green corrosion on it, but the copper lines usually don't get melted. Right. The aluminum fins do.
It just turns into dust.
Yep.
It's aluminum. It's very, very.
Looks like somebody sprayed acid on it. Yeah.
A funny one was one that somebody did get mad at me about. They built a fence. The air conditioner was around the other side of the fence. Their dog was peeing through the fence.
Through the fence? Oh, man.
And they said, the dog can't do that. The fence is there. I said,
somebody's peeing through there.
He's going right through it.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. It has to.
That's funny. So you probably heard the humming on the other side and was like, psh. His business.
Marking his territory.
Yeah. Now, a problem that I had up north that you remedied when you came up a couple times ago was that when the air conditioner turned on, the lights were flickering.
Yeah, I know.
What was going on with that?
Yep, I was by your house. I'm like, every time the air conditioner goes on, the lights dim.
The air conditioner was brand new, but I didn't notice the thing or whatever until it was there a while. But,
and then so usually that indicates a voltage imbalance all the way back at the electrical panel, or even your meter socket. But there's a way to remedy that on the high voltage side at the unit, and that's a hard start kit.
Okay.
Or some people call them a soft start kit. What it is, it's an additional capacitor that's just designed.
That black capacitor that you put in there.
Yep. Okay. It's just designed. They're not very expensive either. It's just designed to give that compressor another little bit to get it going.
Yeah.
It only runs at I think 70%, and then it cuts off. So it's actually getting it back EMF. There's all kinds of, if you want to go in electrical science, I can go there.
No.
But it just gives it a nice little kick to get it going.
Yeah,
really good
boost.
People have RVs. There's a soft start kit for the rooftop air conditioners. Yeah. So like you're using a 1,000-watt Honda.
Clunk when it starts up.
Or so to start up actually on your generator.
Yeah.
Because some people have underpowered generators. Sure. And then they won't start the air conditioner on their RV. RV air conditioner is the same thing you got in your house.
Yeah. It's just smaller.
It's just smaller. And smaller and usually running on 120 volts.
Yeah.
But sometimes it won't start on small generators. Mm-hmm. So you put a soft start kit on it there. In your case, I put and what this manufacturer calls a hard start kit.
Sure.
And I think I asked you once, have you been seeing the lights dim? And I think you said no.
I'm like, I didn't really notice it hardly. Yeah. I'm like, I'm observant, but I wasn't that observant. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because At night, I like it darker in the house, and so I didn't have a whole bunch of lights on unless we had everybody there, which we had like the Man Olympics that time or whatever. And I was like, I got something in the truck, and next thing you know, he's up in my air conditioner putting stuff in. I'm like, all right, man, go for it. But so that is how that can be remedied, just by changing out that capacitor.
Yeah, by it's just an add-on.
Yeah, cool. Now. AC tune-up, you're going to come out, you're going to clean it up, you're going to use your chemicals to clean the fins and all that kind of stuff. You're going to,
if somebody wants that.
If they want that, yep. And then
usually it comes off of a recommendation from me.
Yep.
You know, say, okay, it's at the point where it's dirty enough, it needs
How much are we talking about for an AC tune-up on a regular air conditioner?
Usually we try to keep the price of we want people to take care of the things.
Yeah.
So we try to keep that cost down. So typically a single AC component, our tune-up is going to end up costing $65, where we'll go through it, check things out, check the refrigerant levels,
see if there's anything,
if things need addressing.
Yeah.
Then if we do find, that a capacitor is weak, it's low in refrigerant, needs a coil cleaning. Those are things that you're going to end up paying extra for.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you guys, if John's giving any prices, know that that's today. This video may come out a year from today.
All right.
It is the 7th of May, 2024. So know that that prices and things do fluctuate or change.
Yeah. Since 2020, I think I've had to increase labor 3 times.
Yeah.
And I've had to increase parts markup.
I was at McDonald's.
Actually, I didn't have to change parts markup. The parts took care of themselves.
Yeah.
I kept my markup the same, but things had to go up.
Yeah. I was at McDonald's. They're making $17 an hour at McDonald's now.
I know.
That's crazy.
It was $20 for my daughter. She wanted the big breakfast one morning.
Yeah.
It was, and then I got I think I got an orange juice and I got a croissant thing. I hate McDonald's, but
and not that we're waging,
it was $20.
Yeah, and not that we're saying that McDonald's is a direct reflection of the U.S. economy, but
this pretty much is.
Yeah, it's not far off, right?
You can't pay somebody $17 an hour
and expect
and then
double cheeseburger to still be $1.50. Yeah.
You can't. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. So AC tune-up around $65 to $100, depending on what else has to be done.
And I've heard of tune-ups being as much as $250.
Yeah. What
and
some of those guys do,
I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Hey, Pops, how's it going? I'm glad you guys are watching. So that's Kenny's my dad. He got
okay.
Yeah, like, Dad, you need a new smoke detector. I'm like, we're giving one away on the show. Make sure you watch, So they're tuning in. But the next thing we have is what, as far as if we have to replace the air conditioner, what's the air conditioner going to run? New air conditioner.
That's going to depend on
30,000 BTU unit.
30,000 BTU, which is 2.5 tons.
Yes.
So 12,000 BTU is a ton.
Yep. Line set is size.
It's gonna
is a thing.
It's a tough one because every house is unique.
Give me a range.
Going to give you a range. We're going to be between $3,000 and probably $4,500.
Okay, depending on the size
Somewhere
of the unit,
size of the unit,
length to the furnace, because that's your line set.
It's going to depend probably more upon the way the house is built.
Okay.
Than anything else.
Okay.
The individual things that have to be overcome. It's where I don't have in my tablet. We're going electronic here. Since 2014, I got tired of writing everything by hand.
Yeah.
But we have there's actually no set price on it.
Okay.
On the back end, there's a range, and that has to do with the difficulty level of installation. Pretty much always.
Sure.
There's this size, the different size units, and then there's a range for difficulty level.
Yeah.
And that's realistically where the difference in prices come in.
Yeah.
I come in and I say, this is going to be like this. Yeah. Difficult to do it. Somebody else might come in and say, no, I don't think it's going to be that difficult at all.
And just to give a comparison, this is somebody that smashed into their air conditioner with their lawnmower and they need a new one that's only 3 years old and they still can use the pad and the A-coil and all that stuff is good? Or is this one that's been running for 40 years and is all deteriorated and we need a new pad, we need a new line set, we need all new refrigerant, we need everything.
And the electrical's wrong size.
Yeah, there can be a lot more going on. So there can be quite a range there, but I think that $2,500 to $5,000 is what I've been hearing from everybody. So that's what I think you should expect.
I mean, I've heard of, and that's why these guys drive brand new vans. The $8,000, $10,000.
Oh my gosh!
A guy came to me and said that he had a quote for a furnace and air, $19,000.
I had a guy took somebody for a 50-gallon conventional efficiency water heater replacement, $4,500.
Yeah.
What the flippity flip?
I don't know what he might have been selling them.
Yeah. I'm like, holy cow.
That might have been a California pricing. I don't know.
It was Brookfield. I mean, the lady had a nice house, but it was like, holy cow, man. You know,
and that was one thing.
You should feel guilty doing that.
Well, and I pride myself on that. One is I do not price by zip code.
Yeah.
You know, you're in Mequon, which is the high-end area, one of the high-end areas around us.
Yep.
Or you're in Bayside, or you're living in the core in Milwaukee. I'm not inflating the price.
Yeah.
I'm not deflating the price that much either.
There are guys that do, though, you know, which is kind of bad. But
that's why they drive all new trucks.
Yeah. So the other thing that we'll cover briefly here, because we like some fun stuff. R22 was the old type of refrigerant. R410 is the new stuff.
Newer. So it goes. So what everybody kind of knows is the name Freon. Freon was R12. The stuff that started was way back in the 60s.
Way back in the day.
That got changed over to R22, which had a little less chlorine in it. And then they said, well, there's still too much chlorine in there, so let's change over to 410A, which was Carrier and DuPont. Came up with that one. And now they're switching away from 410A.
What are they going to now?
So there's a range. Everybody's going something different now. So like your refrigerators and stuff in your houses, they're going over to what is propane and isobutane, R600, R290.
Jeez.
It's very minute quantities. They can use like 3 ounces.
Yeah, but the problem
in place.
The problem we end up having though is that now we have to change all our ACOIs and line sets and everything again.
And then so the refrigerants that are going into some of the new equipment, there's these different refrigerants, and some of them have a flammability scale where the old refrigerants weren't. They actually used them to put out fires. R22 will suffocate a fire. R410A will suffocate a fire.
R22 used to be in the foam that the firefighters was using, wasn't it, or something like that?
R11, I think it was.
R11? I don't know. But
and there's still, like, you go to these computer hubs, they have refrigerant tanks there. They're different refrigerant.
Yeah.
But if a fire is detected, that refrigerant is bursted, you have 3 seconds to get out of the building and close the door behind you, because that place is filling with
chlorine gas,
refrigerant. Well, refrigerant suffocates it. Eliminates all oxygen, so the fire will be suffocated, but so will any living organism in there too.
And the reason I say about the line sets and the ACOIs is you used to be able to replace an air conditioner relatively cheaply because all you had to do was replace the exterior unit, because your ACOI and line set were still good. And then when they were changing refrigerant, one type of refrigerant can't go through the same line set that the R22 did, because it'll corrode and deteriorate it. Now some guys will come in and say, oh, I can clean it. Are you going to get every little bit out? No. And the cost to clean it is about the same as it is to replace it.
Is to replace the line set. The only time that I end up cleaning a line set is when I have a problem getting it out. Like here, we wouldn't be able to get to it. It's above the finished ceiling.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to get to it. And the copper is, as long as it's not a burnout, it's going to be in pretty good shape usually. So yeah, the outdoor and the indoor gets changed. But now with these new refrigerants, there's talk of some that are running over 1,200 PSI, where right now the top that we have is like 700 PSI, but these things are running 1,200 PSI on a normal day.
Yeah.
And
it's a lot of pressure.
So special braided lines for us to use for testing them.
Yeah. Is there a longevity issue with 410 at all, or why are they?
No, it's not.
They're still saying it has too much chlorine in it.
It's a greenhouse gas.
Yeah.
It's hydro
killing ozone.
It's hydrogen, fluorine, and carbon. Yeah. There's no chlorine in it.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's just a greenhouse gas.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that's the R22, R410.
Yeah.
Watch out for R600 or whatever else is coming on.
Yeah, I'm not happy about these flammable things coming out.
Yeah, it's just, find something that works and just stick with it, But That is what it is. Now we're getting to the part that Kenny's tuning in for, and that is our question of the week. So our question of the week, basically the way that this works is we're going to be giving away a Pyrex or a Firex Kita. It's a smoke carbon monoxide detector hardwired with a battery backup combination smoke detector. We're giving away, and you can win this by answering the following question correct. And you need to be the first person with the correct answer, and it's whether you're in the live show here or you're doing it after the fact. You can put the answer in. Whoever the first person to get it. John, you actually won 3 weeks ago.
I think 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, Johnny won a Nest thermostat, so I met up with him at Chili's, and we got him his Nest thermostat. But, as long as you haven't won within the last month, you're eligible to win. Our question this week is going to be one that John's going to provide the answer for, but John is not going to say the answer aloud. Okay. But if you see the answer come up, you're going to say, winner, winner, ding, ding, ding. Okay? So the question of the day is, John, what is your least favorite part of being an HVAC technician? The least favorite part of being an HVAC technician. We did previously answer this in the show, so if you've been watching, or you can rewind. I think you can rewind and back up. You can find out what that answer is. But Johnny, if, he gave us the answer, and if he agrees with the answer, then you are the winner of a hardwired Kita smoke carbon monoxide detector for your home. So put that answer in, folks. What is John's least favorite part of being an HVAC technician? So that's the question of the week. Now we do have a mystery box battle. Are you up for it? You've watched the show.
I've seen
the mystery box battle before. Yeah. We actually made one that is HVAC related.
Okay.
And topic related.
Does it have ice cubes in it?
There are no ice cubes. No. So which box would you like? There you go. All right. Okay. So we're going to open up our boxes, and we're going to fight and argue why ours is a better option. Mine is a separate furnace and air conditioner system. So a furnace and air conditioner.
Mine's a heat pump.
John's is a heat pump. All right. Would you like to go first or second? John, you get 1 minute to argue your topic or to argue against my topic, whichever way you choose to go. Mine's a furnace and air conditioner. Yours is a heat pump.
Okay, I'll go first.
You'll go first? All right, John. Why is the heat pump the way to go?
Heat pump is up to 400% more efficient than a natural gas system.
Yep.
And oil and electricity, probably 700% more efficient than a resistive electric system.
Okay.
They're quiet. We have all these systems now out there. In fact, there's all these do-it-yourself systems out there now where you can put these ductless heat pumps in. You're absorbing heat from nature. You're not producing it. You're still using electricity to drive the parts, but you're not producing it out of fossil fuels.
Sure.
So there's no emissions
directly.
Yeah, you're not directly making emissions. And in fact, for all you know, it's running off the windmills there.
Yeah.
In Allenton.
Or you could have solar on your house and be running
solar on your house running heat pump.
I should be helping you. Sorry.
In fact, that's what I'm going to do on my travel trailer is I'm going to get a 48 volt heat pump.
Yep.
And I'm going to put in a small battery bank that can handle it for 6 hours. And I will run completely off grid. Won't have to use any propane, gasoline, or anything.
And the heat pump basically can produce heat and air conditioning
out of the same unit.
Why am I helping you? I should not be helping you in this.
Yep.
All right.
So, well, because I think you're a proponent for it too.
I think you like mine. I am not saying I am. I'm not. I think. Are you done? Are you good?
Actually, I think I'm done. I think that's all.
Okay.
My time.
So I will say that a heat pump is expensive to do a canister heat pump like a mini split system or whatever. About $3,000 to $4,000 per canister, and that it also requires an extra unit, but that also only does 1 to 2 rooms, maybe 3.
There's also not a lot of guys out there that know how to work on them properly.
Correct.
And I stress properly.
But if you want a true heat pump system, you need a field where you can gather heat from the soil. Well, that'd be geothermal.
The geothermal
heat pump. You need a large enough unit on the outside of your home that's going to gather enough heat in that refrigerant to bring it in your house to heat up your home in a reasonable amount of time. Heat pumps do take longer to heat up your home. They're not going to produce heat instantly like a furnace would. I can turn on my furnace and I can have 130 freaking degrees coming out of my ductwork in 2 minutes. A heat pump, try 2 hours, maybe, to get 105 degrees.
You're not getting any carbon monoxide here.
Yeah, you're not getting. But hey, it's not your turn, buddy. It's not your turn. So I can do that in 2 minutes. I can have 130 degrees coming out of my ductwork, and I can be toasty, and it's coming out throughout my entire house. You can have a heat pump on a furnace, but it has to be a really big heat pump, and you'd have to probably have slower airflow in order to get the air warm enough, so that's all relative and how you do your ductwork and everything with that. But while you can do a whole house heat pump, it's not very common, so you're not going to have a lot of guys out there that can work
not
on
up here.
them. Not up here.
The South it is.
In the South it is, yes, because they don't require as much heat, and they aren't using a furnace as often as we do, and they also aren't getting minus 50, which I realize a heat pump can still get heat at minus 50 Fahrenheit outside, but it does so much less efficiently the colder that it gets. Okay, so there is still heat, but it's a lot less heat than if it were 5 degrees out. So that's all relative. But the heat pump generally is going to last longer. It's going to use less energy. So my furnace is going to use gas in the wintertime, and gas and electric, and it's also going to use a lot of electricity when I'm running the air conditioner in the springtime or in the summertime. But it's relative. I think that in the end, the heat pump is probably going to be less cost prohibitive to operate, but it's also going to be more expensive.
Entry level.
Yeah, to get into it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let us know what you think. Who won the argument? Are you going heat pump or are you going furnace and air conditioner?
Put these two together,
John.
And then you got the best of both.
The reality is either one's a good option, you guys. Whichever way you're going to go with it, just buy a high efficiency furnace or buy a high efficiency heat pump. Heat pumps, I think, are probably more likely the way of the future. But it's a future that's a ways off before I think everybody buys into it or this
because of our grid.
Yeah, our grid.
We don't have the electricity capable for everybody to be doing this.
Yep. And I think the technology has still got a ways to go with heat pumps as far as how we can maximize the heat draw from the exterior. And that also gets into some of the refrigerant talk that we were talking about before as far as what the best way to get that heat from the outside into the inside through that liquid. And it's just, I think the technology still is... has a ways to improve, but it is pretty good right now.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. So and the heat pumps do tend to last a really long time. They are something that doesn't break down. They aren't exposed to the high temperatures of a furnace and things like that. So yes, there's a lot of benefits to both, I think. And the furnace, there's lots of different options. I mean, you could, for a furnace and air conditioner combo, you can get really cheap and get $5,000, or you can spend $15,000 if you want to, or more. But I think it's all relative. And if you get a furnace and air conditioner, almost any HVAC technician will work on that.
We'll work on it.
Yep. Heat pump, you don't want the guy that's only been doing HVAC for 3, 4, 5 years. You know, you need somebody that's got more experience than that. So that is that. The next thing we have is that was a good mystery box battle, John. I like that. That was good. The next thing we have is, can John guess the top 5? It's like a list thing these days. Everybody's doing these lists, right? So give me the top 5 most alcoholic college towns, right? You've seen it online before, right? You've seen this, right? So this is not...
I happen to know because my son got a son next year going to one of them. His son is graduating this year from another one
of them. Yeah. Well, lacrosse isn't such a big drinking school.
You don't think so? Isn't that why all them end up in a river?
You in the river thing. That was like 1 year. John did not hate batteries. Good try, Kenny. There's another option there. He doesn't like batteries in tools per se. But what was his least favorite part of doing his job of an HVAC technician is the question of the day. But top 5 question. Now I'm going to give you the topic here, and this is a topic you should have close to your heart. Okay. And, but you may disagree with some of them, as I do disagree with some of these as well. But this is a top 5 poll from USA Today. The top 5 air conditioner brands. Top 5 air conditioner brands. Now, knowing that there is parent companies and there is some overlap in these, take that into account. But
I'm very outspoken in this topic.
Yeah. So we got the top 5. Can you get the top 5 without a miss? We haven't had anybody get it without a miss yet. We've had some people, like last week we had Carrie and Aaron in, and they got 3 of 5, which
both of their topics, which was about vacations.
It was about vacations, best place to, or what was one of the top 5 places to visit in Mexico and the top 5 places to visit in the United States. Okay. And there's a lot of options there, so I can completely understand why they only got 3 of the 5. And when we said the other 2, they're like, oh oh yeah. And then one of the Mexican ones was like, where's that? You know, so yeah. So the top 5 air conditioner brands. We've given you a second to think about it, John. Just go ahead. What do you got?
It's gonna be Carrier.
Carrier, the number 1.
Lennox.
Lennox number 2.
Train.
Train number 5. Ooh, York. York. Hold on. He could have a sweep here. He's only one away from a sweep. York is number 4. John, top 5. You got Carrier, Lennox, Train, and York.
And we're talking about parent companies, or
no? There are like I said, there are in this list. There are multiples from one parent company, and
so the next one in our area is probably going to be Bryant.
Oh, he spiked it. He did it. How the hell? Holy crap, John. Grab that other sheet over there. I want to go through the list. That's a sweep. Did you see that?
We did.
Holy cow, that's a sweep. John, that's the first sweep we've had since we started doing lists. Nice job, man. Good work. Good freaking work. Now I can copy answer and say, I hated batteries. Yes, thanks, Alex. So that is a sweep, John. Way to go, man. Way to go. You got.
How did I break it, Tammy?
I don't think you broke it. I think they just flip.
They flip this way.
They flip in and out.
Okay.
There you go. Now you're good. You can hear us there, Johnny?
I can make it work.
All right. So Johnny got all 5 right away. So Carrier, Lennox, Bryant is number 3. York is number 4. Train is number 5. Now, the rest of them, these all really aren't that much different, right? But we have Frigidaire. Electrolux is the parent company. We have American Standard, which is also a Train product. We have Rude, which is a Rheem product. And then we have Amana, and we have Goodman.
Goodman bought Amana many years ago.
Yeah. Who did I have it under? Yeah, Goodman, Amana, but they have a new name now. Daikin.
Daikin is actually a Japanese. So you've heard of Mitsubishi ductless splits. Daikin is just as old as Mitsubishi.
Is that how you pronounce it? Daikin.
Daikin.
Okay.
Mitsubishi, and that's their Japanese company. And we know Japanese. You buy a Japanese car, it's going to last forever.
Yep.
So Daikin's the only ductless splits that I install anymore. I used to always install Mitsubishis, but the Daikins are much easier to work on.
Mitsubishi flooded the market initially. That's why.
Daikin wanted a piece of the HVAC market. Yeah. So they said, Goodman, why don't you make us a private label?
Sure.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Just for those of you that are trying to look up the answer for the question of the day, it was in probably the first 5 minutes of the show, wasn't it? Yeah. It was right after that. The Save a Buck, yeah, right in the beginning. He told us what his least favorite job as an HVAC technician was. But and all these guys, they have parent companies. So like Carrier also makes Bryant. So number 1 also made number 3, but they also make Payne, ICP, Arco Air, Comfort Maker, Heil, Tempstar. Mm-hmm. These are all brands that Carrier has absorbed over the years. You know,
GM Motors had Buick, Pontiac, Cadillac.
Yep.
Those were all separate companies back in the day.
Yep. And they get bought up, and just like Chrysler, they bought up a bunch of guys as well. So yeah, it is something that is kind of goofy. And with air, furnaces, just like golf clubs, a lot of them are made in the same places, they just put different stickers on them, but they have good, medium, and best, So like when you're talking about Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury, right? Mm-hmm. Mercury's the cheap ass stuff, Lincoln's the primo stuff, and Ford's the standalone middle fat, So that's just kind of the same thing with Carrier. So like with Carrier, they're putting out their top unit is going to be the Carrier.
That's their flagship. Yes.
Yeah, their flagship. Then your middle unit's going to be that Bryant, and then when you get in the lower end, you're at that Tempstar, Comfort Maker, those kinds of guys, and a lot of the same parts inside. It's just a cheaper housing, and other parts are cheaper. They aren't having as high quality in some of these other areas, but the main guts, because they don't want to deal with issues, the reliable, all the same. Yeah. So if you can save, $1,000 by going from a Carrier down to a Tempstar, you're probably not looking at that much life difference or operation difference, from the unit.
Usually what you're paying for in that extra money ends up being advertising is what I find out.
That's a big part of it too. Yeah. Yeah. So that is our top 5 air conditioner brands. And that's a sweep, dude. That's impressive. Yeah.
I guess 31 years counts for something.
This is what you do with your time. Now, okay. So I'm going to ask you this question too, though. If you had to pick one, what's it going to be? If you're installing a brand in your house, cost is not an issue.
If the cost ain't an issue, I'm getting a carrier.
You're getting a carrier.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, but if cost is an issue,
then I'm probably going to go something like Rheem.
Yeah. My parents just recently got a new furnace and stuff, and one of the guys that they had come out was giving the bids and stuff, and he's going to put in a Goodman, and I'm like, Goodman's okay, but there's better stuff out there, And the guy's like, you got a problem with Goodman? It's like, no, man, but I know that there's better equipment out there, and the Goodman doesn't tend to be as high-end or as good of equipment. For not that much more money, they can get into a Bryant or something like that. It's going to last a little bit longer, But it is all relative, Whether you're putting in any one of these, your furnace life is going to be 20 to 25 years, well-maintained. If you choose not to maintain it, you don't change your furnace filter, guess what? You're not going to get your maximum lifespan out of it. Don't be surprised.
And I always tell people, 70% of the problem ends up being the installation.
Yeah.
If it's a poor installation, it's going to be a poor outcome later down the road.
Yep.
You put a car together bad, it's not going to make it the miles that a good car that was put together well makes it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then maintenance is the other factor,
Yeah, having somebody come out and take care of it, changing your furnace filter, that kind of stuff.
Very little of it actually has to do with
your AC
the
tube
brand.
so it doesn't leak water all over your circuit board,
Also, it's installation and maintenance.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is that. That's the top 5 list. That's awesome. We're going to skip over the show poll. We'll save that one. The one thing I did want to bring up real quick, Johnny. Oh, that's a longer conversation. We'll do that next time we have you on the show. Talking about union and trades as a career. I think that's a longer conversation, and we're already over.
I mean, it's something that we do need.
Oh, yeah.
We need a lot more tradespeople. Yep. And there are colleges that are now, or high schools now, that are concentrating on tradespeople.
They're reinvigorating it, where they all kind of went away from it.
Right.
Yep. But we'll
bring back shop class, bring back automotive class. And,
yeah. When I started in Mountain Falls, there was 13 tech ed teachers. There's now 2, which is sad, But it is what it is.
Kids want to learn.
It's slowly changing,
but people don't want to teach.
And the whole concept that when they changed all that was that college is for everyone, and college is not for everyone. Yeah, you're wasting money and time by going there, and in a lot of cases, and what you're going to end up with is nothing but a big old student loan bill, and you're going to make less money than the guy that's doing the trades.
My kids are going to college. They're the first ones in the family, but. My one's going for medical. The other one's going for business.
Yep.
The third one, she's going for marine biology.
Yeah, it really depends on what you want to do with your life, right?
But they also know how to change tires. They know how to change their own oil. They can check their oil. They're not stuck on the side of the highway, not knowing what to do.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to skip that down. We'll have John on again talking about stuff. We're going to get to our tip of the week. So the tip of the week. So over the winter, right? A lot of flat work, a lot of concrete, cracks, bows, buckles, heaves, that kind of stuff, right? And my recommendation is do not fix it right now. If you fix it right now, you're going to trap a lot of moisture underneath that concrete. Let that concrete get nice and hot, get all that moisture out of there before you make any major repairs to flat work or concrete. July, August is probably...
And let the ground stop moving.
Yeah.
It's been thawing out, but then also we've been getting all the rain, and that's hydraulic. Keep pumping things up and moving stuff around. Let it kind of settle in place.
Let it settle. Yeah, and it's something that don't rush to it. Let the water and moisture all get out of there. Let the soil settle down or whatever, and then make your repairs. And we're going to actually have a video because my driveway cracked pretty bad this winter. And so we're going to have a video about how to repair some concrete cracks and do it the right way. So we'll get into that. Next week, we have something happening at my house next week. I'm getting my roof replaced. And now we've been kind of bouncing around the weather and stuff like that with these guys. But we got Neil and his company from, I think it's All American Roofing. Is that right, Tammy? Yeah, they're going to be coming out. They're going to be replacing our roof, and we're going to be videotaping the whole thing, talking to the owner, and we already shot a video with Neil, the sales guy, talking about what we went through choosing our products and things like that. So we're going to have that next week. It may not be live, but it's going to be a good show. We're going to talk to them and have a lot of good information about roof replacement and things like that. We're going to have a direct video from them doing my roof and kind of the process that we went through in replacing and getting our roof replaced. Now, some of the people have asked, couldn't you just go up there and put your... Yeah, I could. I know enough that I could replace my own roof if I wanted to. I'm 48 years old, and I don't have any desire to do that anymore. When I was younger, I did some construction stuff where I had to haul shingles up ladders, and that, leave that to the birds, And granted, they have ladder lifts and stuff now, but
Right. Well, and I always thought, I can do anything, right?
Yeah.
And I know I can do anything, but then you get to a certain point where all the guys that have told you in the past said, do what makes the best use of your time.
Yeah.
If you can, where I make my money is in HVAC. Why would I go and build myself a fence?
Yeah.
All the way around my property.
Yeah.
What it cost me to have that guy build the fence, I could probably make threefold back just by working through the day.
At 3 hours or 4 hours or whatever it is. Yeah.
Not the 3 hours, but
whatever.
The full day, work out the full day.
Yep.
Probably make more than what it cost you to have that guy build that fence. Because that's what we're looking at right now too.
Sure.
Is putting up a fence.
Yep. Yeah, and what's the old saying? Do what you do best and let pay for the rest.
Right.
Do what you do best and pay for the rest. Just because by getting that professional out there to do the work, they're going to do a better job of it. They're going to focus on it. They're going to have guys in there that are throwing out shingle every single day.
They're not going to make the mistakes that you're going to make.
Yeah, they're not going to make the mistake of letting their air gun get too low and not fully embedding their nails properly,
or have to buy all this stuff right now.
Yeah,
and now you got an air gun for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I won't
try to get rid of it on Craigslist.
I'm kind of a tool collector, John.
Oh, me too.
I got 2 houses. I got
pretty much everything.
I got 2 houses, so I got 2 of everything, And Tammy's like, "Do you have enough tools?"
The answer is no. Never enough tools.
That's what I keep hearing.
Yeah, it just is what it is, But next week we're going to talk about how to choose a good roofing company, what to expect as from the process, and how to go through that whole deal of getting your roof replaced. So yeah, it's kind of going to be a good show next week. If you want to tune in, we'll be maybe not live, I'm not sure yet, but it'll be between 7 and 8 o'clock, and it'll be next week Tuesday. So yeah, thanks for coming out today, man. I appreciate you. Jon Mitchell CoZ HVAC. If you're looking for an HVAC technician, or I've had customers just recently call you up for some gas line issues and things like that, where that's just what John deals with.
It was funny, and it being there was 3 gas leaks within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
One of them was one from your customer.
Was that one of the duplex the guy call you?
Oh, well, then there was the guy out there. So there was 2 of them that were you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But when I send them to Johnny, I don't make him tell John that it was from Matt. It's entirely up to them, But ultimately, John is when I'm giving out a referral to, hey, call this guy. He's your best shot. He's the first number I give out. But if you're just looking for a bid for negotiation, I'll usually give out another number, just because I don't want to waste John's time going out there, and you honestly want a number from one of these big companies that are going to overprice your stuff for negotiation purposes, so it's just different. But but thanks for coming out, buddy. I appreciate you. And Jill, shout out to you. Lily, Jess, Jack, let's you guys go ahead and get it together. We're going to go up north and do some ATVing this summer.
Yeah.
Hopefully we got to figure out a date. Yeah, have you guys up. But thanks for tuning in, you guys. Really appreciate you. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button, bell notification, thumbs up if you like this stuff today, okay? Drop some comments in there. We're still waiting on a winner for this this smoke detector. Smoke carbon detector. John's least favorite job of being an HVAC technician. It was in the probably first 5 minutes of the video. So go check it out. Drop that answer in the comments down below. But thanks for tuning in, you guys. Hey, remember, the better you take care of your house, the better it's going to take care of you. We'll see you guys next time.